Hi everyone. I reviewed a lot of movies and games in 2024 and covered them all in these 4 compilation videos. There was 2 months between each of the first 3, but the 4th one suffered so many delays that it ended up encompassing 6 months. I don't plan to ever let that happen again. Anyway, as my final farewell to 2024, I think I'll sum up the year by picking out the best and worst movies and games that I came across throughout it. I did this last year, and I see no reason to change the format now. I'll be choosing my single favorite and least favorite in a number of categories, and then quickly listing off every movie and game I reviewed during the year, grouped by the rating I gave them on a scale from 1 to 10. But before we get to that, let's do something a bit more traditional. My top 10 favorite movies of the year. Just movies, mind you. I haven't played enough games from 2024 to do the same for them. Now, this won't be a full-blown list with 100-word captions like I've done before, but I still want to at least say something about these movies so the list isn't bare bones, so I think I'll sum them up in 10 words each. You'll find my 50-word reviews somewhere in the aforementioned videos, or on my Letterboxd page, the link's in the description and on my channel. So, in brief, here are my top 10 favorite movies of 2024. Number 10, Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. Fury Road prequel that's more classic western than pure action. Number 9, Deadpool and Wolverine. Messy plot but loaded with laughs, action, and fan service. Number 8, Kill. Fierce, energized action, and the characters' goals are invitingly simple. Number 7, Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Foul. Fun adventure that highlights Feathers McGraw's return with subtle callbacks. Number 6, Speak No Evil. An insane yet totally grounded climax whose tension never ceases. Number 5, Strange Darling. A riveting thriller that arranges its 6 chapters very deliberately. Number 4, Inside Out 2. A worthy sequel that maintains many of the original's strengths. Number 3, The Wild Robot, a transparent, undeniably effective, and deeply emotional allegory for parenthood. Number 2, Anora, top-notch performances and the chaotic tone matches the character's desperation. And my number 1 favorite movie of 2024 is The Substance, a wild ride and a scathing satire of beauty standards. But let me tell you, I'm honestly torn between my top 2. There are times when I feel that Anora should take the number 1 spot. Also, I had to make some hard cuts for this list. There were a few movies that just missed out on the top 10. Heretic, My Old Ass, Alien Romulus, and especially Civil War. That was the last cut I had to make. It was going to be on the list until Wallace and Gromit came along. Anyway, that's my list. Do you agree? What are your favorite movies of the year? We'll get more into this later, but that's just going by what I've seen so far. There are tons of reputedly good movies that I haven't seen, some of which simply haven't been released in my country yet, like A Complete Unknown, Saturday Night, and The Brutalist. But now let's go over a few more examples, both good and bad, of what I did see in 2024. Our first category is movies I saw in the cinema. Here's the full set from which I'm picking the single best and worst. Feel free to pause the video if you want to look through them, because I'm not calling them all out. Yet. The best, my absolute favourite, at the moment I'd say it's The Substance, but like I mentioned earlier, Anora gives it a serious run for its money. I've also said before that The Wild Robot could potentially be a third contender. The only thing hindering my enjoyment of that movie was the audience. Those are the 3 winners on the podium, and upon repeat viewings, any one of them could take the gold medal. Anyway, as for the worst, this time there's no contest. It's Hellboy the Crooked Man, the single worst movie I saw all year. Exceptionally dull and establishes nothing, like Act 1 is missing. Next are the movies from 2024 that I watched at home. Again, here are all the possibilities. For me, the best is Strange Darling. I really wasn't expecting to like it as much as I did. Worst, Cuckoo, a frustratingly absurd horror film whose antagonist makes no sense. For the record, until I saw this movie, it was going to be a toss-up between Drive Away Dolls and Under Paris. Next up, older movies. Now, this only includes ones I saw for the first time in 2024. Otherwise, the best would be either Goodfellas or LA Confidential, 2 absolute masterpieces that I revisited during the year. Of the movies I reviewed here on YouTube, the original Planet of the Apes would be an easy winner, but that was just because I wanted to showcase the whole series. Generally, it's only movies that are new to me that get included in these videos, so that's what we're focusing on here. With that in mind, best, Metropolis, an influential classic whose narrative and dystopian settings still captivate. It also has the distinction of being the 2,500th film I saw, or at least rated. Worst, RoboCop 3. I had a hard time choosing between this and Battle for the Planet of the Apes, but as dull as the latter was, at least it had more going for it. RoboCop 3, however, is just an embarrassment to its series. Now we're done with movies and switching to video games. I've divided them into two categories. The first is the games I wasn't actually playing myself. I was watching long plays to see if I'd like to. Best, I don't even have to think twice, Animal Well. This one blew me away. With an amazing art style and compelling puzzles at every turn, it's potentially one of my new favorite games of all time. Worst, Amnesia: A Machine for Pigs. Lackluster follow-up that removes many of its predecessor's defining features. And the second group of games is the ones I did play, even if it was only partially in some cases. I have such a huge backlog that sometimes I don't have time to get bogged down, so I get as far as I can, then watch a long play to see the rest. Anyway, best. There was no clear winner here, but I'd probably go with Astro's Playroom, a terrifically fun tech demo and celebration of PlayStation's history. It's a free game pre-installed on every PS5, but I ignored it until now because I think I assumed it was more of a program than a game. I finally gave it a chance because everyone was talking about Astrobot, and it got me all the more excited to play the latter even before it won Game of the Year. Worst, Gex Deep Cover Gecko. That's the third in the series, and the stalest, but it's Agent Extra's FMV scenes that really drag it down. Best movie overall I saw this year? The Substance, though again with the Anora-shaped asterisk attached. Worst, Hellboy the Crooked Man. Best game overall? Animal Well. Worst, Gex Deep Cover Gecko. So those are my picks for the single best and worst examples of what I came across this year. Now it's time to rank everything else, or rather sort it by my rating. For the record, this is what each rating means on my scale. You might have noticed it in my Letterboxd screenshot earlier, but I might as well highlight it again just in case. My ratings aren't an objective assessment of a movie or game's qualities or anything. This isn't an exam. All I can judge is how much I enjoyed it, how much it appealed to me. If you also give ratings for movies, games, and so on, maybe yours would be very different for some of these. That's fine. We all have our opinions. Let's just try to be respectful of each other's. Now again, we'll start with movies, both the ones from 2024 itself and from earlier years. They all use the same rating scale after all. The lowest rating I gave a movie this year was one single 3 out of 10, and the recipient, of course, was Hellboy the Crooked Man. For a movie to score lower than that, something in the 1-star range, it has to be truly unbearable to the point that it makes me angry. There are considerably more titles in each of the higher ratings, so they'll be listed in alphabetical order from here on. First, in the 4 out of 10 tier, we have Afraid, Battle for the Planet of the Apes, Beneath the Planet of the Apes, Cuckoo, Drive Away Dolls, Megalopolis, RoboCop 3, and Under Paris. Next come the ones I gave a 5 out of 10, which is basically the lower end of meh. There's All Dogs Go to Heaven, The Beast, The Bike Riders, Double Blind, The Fall Guy, Gladiator 2, ISS, Juror Number 2, Justice League Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 1, The Last Unicorn, Lisa Frankenstein, Moana 2, The Outrun, RoboCop 2, The Shadow Strays, and The Watched, aka The Watchers. One step higher in 6 out of 10, which for me means not bad, we have Abigail, The Apprentice, Back to Black, Bad Boys Ride or Die, Big, Bob Marley, One Love, Boy Kills World, The Critic, Despicable Me 4, Fly Me to the Moon, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, Godzilla x Kong The New Empire, I Saw the TV Glow, Justice League Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 2, Justice League Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 3, Kung Fu Panda 4, The Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim, The Lost Boys, Maharaja, Maxine, The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, Never Let Go, The Nutty Professor, Orion and the Dark, Paddington in Peru, The Piano Lesson, A Quiet Place Day 1, Small Things Like These, Sting, Thelma, Woman of the Hour, and Young Woman and the Sea. Next is 7 out of 10, which is where we get into what I truly consider good. In this group are Alien Romulus, Argyle, Beetlejuice, Blink Twice, Challengers, Civil War, Conquest of the Planet of the Apes, The Crow, the original, Deadpool and Wolverine, Dune Part 2, Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, Heretic, Hitman, If, It Ends With Us, Kensuke's Kingdom, Kill, Kinds of Kindness, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, Kneecap, Late Night with the Devil, Longlegs, Look Back, Love Lies Bleeding, Monkey Man, My Old Ass, The Prince and the Pauper, Rebel Ridge, Transformers 1, and Wolves. And the movies I gave an 8 out of 10, which means very good, are Anora, Escape from the Planet of the Apes, Inside Out 2, The Iron Claw, Metropolis, Poor Things, Speak No Evil, Strange Darling, The Substance, Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Foul, and The Wild Robot. There were no movies in 2024 that I gave a score higher than 8, though I think that says much more about how jaded I've become than the quality of the movies themselves. If there were any movies this year that you thought deserved a 9 or a 10, that's great. I wish I could be that enthusiastic. Maybe some of them will earn a 5-star rating in the future, but none of them instantly wowed me that much the first time. And now let's do the same for video games. Again, this covers games from all years. There are only 6 here that are actually from 2024, because I spent most of the year catching up on older games. Believe it or not, we're starting even higher up the scale this time, because there were no games in my 2024 experience that I gave less than 5 out of 10. And funnily enough, there are 5 games in this slot at the bottom of the pile. They're Amnesia, A Machine for Pigs, Gex 3D, Enter the Gecko, Gex Deep Cover Gecko, Spider-Man 2, Enter Electro, and Spider-Man Mysterio's Menace. Now, moving up to 6 out of 10, we have Amnesia, The Bunker, Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, Catherine, Endless Ocean 2, Adventures of the Deep, aka Endless Ocean Blue World, Final Fantasy XII, Final Fantasy XIII, Final Fantasy XIII-2, Gex, Gunstar Superheroes, aka Gunstar Future Heroes, Lightning Returns, Final Fantasy XIII, The Lost World Jurassic Park, Moonscars, Nine Souls, Pilot Wings 64, Restar on Game Gear, Robocop Rogue City, Spyro 2, Gateway to Glimmer, aka Spyro Ripto's Rage, Terminator Resistance, ToeJam and Earl in Panic on Funkatron, and Wallace and Gromit in Project Zoo. Now we're getting into the good range. The games I gave a 7 out of 10 are Amnesia Rebirth, Another Crab's Treasure, Black Myth Wukong, Bloodstained Curse of the Moon, Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 2, Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, Chained Echoes, Donkey Kong Country Returns, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, Endless Ocean Luminous, Eternights, Final Fantasy 15, Final Fight 3, Killer Instinct, Octopath Traveler 2, Shantae Half Genie Hero, Sonic Superstars, Spyro Year of the Dragon, Still Wakes the Deep, System Shock, the original, The Unfinished Swan, Wario Land, Super Mario Land 3, Wario Land 2, Wario Land 3, and Wario Land 4. Better yet, in the 8 out of 10s here, there's Amnesia The Dark Descent, Astro's Playroom, Clash at Demon Head, Ender Lily's Quietus of the Nights, Final Fantasy XVI, Final Fight 2, Gradius, Gunstar Heroes, Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice, I Am Setsuna, Life Force, Mario Kart DS, Restar, Sea of Stars, Shantae and the Pirate's Curse, Shantae and the Seven Sirens, Shantae Risky's Revenge, Director's Cut, Spider-Man, System Shock, the remake, and Under the Waves. And finally, the very few games that received a 9 out of 10 from me, the ones that I can honestly say I love. Those lucky 3 are Animal Well, Dredge, and System Shock 2. Well, there you have it. That's a complete summary of all the movies and games that I first came across in 2024. But that's just what I've been watching and playing in the past year. How about you? What are some of your favourite movies or games that you saw or played in 2024? What are you most looking forward to in 2025? Let me know in the comments. Also, like the video and subscribe if you want to see more. And I hope the coming year treats you well. See you soon.